Okay, let's get this done. The afternoon after the night before. Thanks those who came to my session last night. We're getting very close to the end, and what I'm going to do today is the belt. Minutes before last night's session, I decided how I was going to paint the belt. So this is what the guy did and what I painted in the session. I like the idea of a contrasting red to the blue and some kind of non-metallic-y, metal-y belt, ornate belt thing with the red in the middle, just catchy, and then some not quite gold but kind of gold braidy looking. Let's zoom in just to illustrate. It's kind of just dabbed on it just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So there you go. That's the plan. I'll get on with it. Okay, so on the palette already, still left over from last night, I have for the belt beginnings, well, 2 colours actually, it was all I used, and that's the same as what I used on Scabbard. So deep red from Scarlet Colour, and this one it's Scarlet. I think I used their own normal regular red, but Scarlet's got quite a vibrancy to it, which works really nicely over the deep red. So it's just a case of simply getting the red and painting the whole of the belt in the red colour, the idea being deep red colour, without worrying about anything really, just keeping it off the blue of his loinclothy thing, because this is only a base for what is to come. Strangely, this particular belt on this figure isn't so cleanly moulded as the one on the other guy. Which does reduce what we're going to be able to do on here. So the main thing, because it's on the underside, is just to get it and it's going to be quite hard to get the brush into that area of him, which still needs to have some tidying up done. Got some paint on the leather we did last time, but hey, I'm sure I can fix that up at a later point in time. And I'm going to dab some in the middle of the buckle, belt, plate thing, whatever you want to call it. Now this is where it's not moulded very well, there's no definition, so having done the other one last night, I'm going to kind of make it up really. I'm going to have to kind of paint some shapes and forms that don't actually exist just to make it interesting. So that's that bit. Then I'm going to just do an initial base for the belt plate in the metal-y colour, which is using lead grey and some basalt grey use some white grey as used on the sword, and that's lead grey, basalt grey there. So that's still got some life in it from yesterday on the wet palette. So these are all selections of colours that have been used at various other points on the figure already, be it the gold around the arm, the red there, and the non-metallic metal of the broken sword, which, like I said, I'm not going to fix up until I get to the very end with this guy, for fear of knocking it off again. What I might do as well, I haven't decided yet, but I've got this strapping on his wrist here. I might do that red. I might do it a bit of a mix of red and blue. Red over top of blue, maybe showing his rank or something, I don't know. Haven't quite decided yet. You can also see on the red down, I've left a bit of the black from the base coat showing through as a lining, so sometimes you don't need to go and line something black after. You can utilise the stuff you've already done, just by not painting all the way around to it. Now, what I want to do now, okay, I need a little bit more paint on that. Didn't quite get it everywhere. Like I say, this one is particularly badly moulded. Right, so I've got the lead grey and the basalt grey, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of the two of them together to make a slightly lighter grey. And just do, it's still a little bit wet in there, to be honest, but it'll be alright on the bits I want to paint. There we go. So I'm going to use that to paint the broad areas of form in that belt buckle thing. I'm not going to try and do any big highlights just yet. It's really difficult to get the brush into. And then I'm going to take some black, just regular black. It could be the brown black or whatever it might be, and I'm going to carefully paint the raised bits of this belt, which will become the braiding. So this will act as some lining as well, just to arguably one of the most critical stages, because it's going to form. Also got these weird little raised bits, which I think are a design feature because they kind of match where these sword scabbard bits go. They kind of mirror it on the other side. So I could paint them leathery. It might be that they, on other figures, the quiver ends up over here. I don't know, I've only got this figure. But yeah, trying to paint those bits in as best I can, compared to, you can see on this guy, I've clearly got two bits of braiding. I'm going to call them braiding. Here the some of it gets lost in his flowing thingy. Oh no, thingy. Yeah, so now that's done, I'm going to carefully get some of the scarlet, which, like I say, is quite vibrant, and it's a lovely vibrant colour. Slightly thinned. That's kind of separated a little bit on the palette overnight. And this acts as a glaze just over top, and it's not really, it doesn't need too much, just a thin line, so it's almost acting as a highlight. I'm using a number 1 brush, so just a reminder, a good brush gives you a wonderfully good tip point. Bearing in mind that these are really quite small areas I'm painting. Now I'm not so worried about getting the middle bit, because it's just going to be the hint of red. This is mainly just about getting it onto the highlight on the upper portion. And what I found looked quite cool yesterday, you can see with that bit in the middle, that I used the scarlet mostly on the upper portion of that inner part of the plate on his waist. And I'm going to try and do that again, but like I said, that particular bit is a horrible bit of moulding and isn't very clear. So that's alright. It actually helps. Takes your eye away from where it's badly moulded out. So there's that. That will dry less intense, but you can see how quite nicely the upper portion just adds a bit of colour, a bit of vibrancy to an otherwise drab figure. And that's nice to add a little bit of interest to it. Now I am going back to my basalt grey, add a little bit of the white grey to it. I'm just going to do some further, now it's dried a bit more, lining of the upper surface of that belt buckle. It's a little bit more complex in there because of the poor moulding. And then a little bit more white, or white grey. Still never going fully white. And I'm going to just, there you go, just do a narrower portion to what I've done before. As if the light is starting to just glimmer on one edge. One portion of that rounded surface, curved surface. You can see that's starting to, I might try and do a little bit more on the other side, but it's hard to get the brush into there. Plus the moulding's rubbish. I'm going to have to just touch a little bit of mane that keeps getting hit by that brush. Now I might just go almost pure white grey, hardly any, and then just do a single catch light. And it can often work to do that slightly off centre, so rather than trying to do it symmetrical with its reflection, it can be a bit more interesting to have it towards an edge. Oops, sorry, lost that on screen. Right, so now I am going to very quickly, you can see it's kind of got the feel for it. So now I'm going to do the goldy colour bit, which is, as used before, English uniform, ochre, and some ice yellow. And starting off with kind of an ochre and English uniform mix, because this is very thin and it's kind of just suggestive. I'm just going to run this across the central part of that braiding. I've got a horrible bit of again on this side it becomes blooming difficult, not impossible, to get the brush in to get some of this working, so I think it'll just be more suggestive than perfect. Let's get in there, possibly. And then I'm just going to use a little bit more yellow, ochre, sorry, in that mix, and repeat that again. Oh, and I should probably say quickly while we're here, there's the sword hilt, which had already been painted in the ochre, the English uniform, and now I'm just going to take some of those upper surfaces and paint those just with that same mix of the ochre and the English uniform. Just in these upper areas that are going to catch the light. Turn it around the other way. So where things have got a rapid change of direction as well will be another area. So if you think of it angled like that, that's the top bit coming down, and there. So on a couple of those bits. Oh, sorry. So here at the top, there. So there's still a vertical nature to that. So there's a bit on the upper side and the lower side. Now I'm going to go 100% ochre on its own. It's got a lovely golden yellow colour to it. This time on the belt, I'm just going to, rather than try and draw a line on it, just going to dab it, hopefully. And you start getting that braid look to it. Although in reality I'm not after perfection, just a suggestion. Ooh, damaged my red there a little bit. I can go and fix that up a bit later. Oh dear, come on. Some annoying not wanting to flow off a brush very conveniently today. It did really well last night, but again, still using quite a big brush. I can add that now to the upper edges of the hilt. It's quite a fun way to experiment with this, because you're not, as it's a gaming figure essentially, perfection isn't the goal, but suggestion of a thing is. So I'm being quite not perfect with my application here. And then finally I'm going to add some ice yellow to my ochre. And do my final. Let's do the sword first. And just do an upper surface right at those catchlight points, just where a little bit of tiny light might glimmer on a shiny sword hilt. And then I'm just going to see if I can do a few more dots with a slightly. What's quite nice with, or quite interesting, if you put, rather than use this brighter braiding colour all the way round, you could kind of do it in a similar way, to just as if the light is catching just a portion of the braiding. Just lose a little bit of that on that. And then I might just do this one last little bit of just almost purest green, purest ice yellow. Just for so again, like with the white grey, the catches of light aren't pure white. But your eye might be fooled into thinking they are pure white. But I don't think I'll put any on the belt like that. And there we have it for this one. So that's just the belt. Like I say, I can get a little bit of black, thin down, and maybe just reinforce some of those curves on the belt. Well, there we go. So I can put some of those in some of those areas just to line out, separate those portions, but they're ultimately really badly moulded on this particular guy. Can tidy up some of those edges, which I'll probably end up doing in leather. But overall, it's giving you a little bit of yeah, so I might tidy up that red, but I'm not going to do that on camera because we're nearly at 30 minutes. So one little one to do after this. Okie doke. Cheers, y'all. Bye bye.